Here.
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 Correct. Here.
And I would tell.
Here.
I declare we have a quorum. I have to follow what I say. Are there any written communications?
Yes, we received an email and it was in your packet. And you have to forgive the lagness of the computer. Whenever I click on something, it takes it 30 seconds before it pops up. So some of you may have read this in your packet or not, but basically the Olivet resident wanted to thank us for creating the Stacy or the Cottonwood Trail at Stacy Park. So Ed, your work is being admired and appreciated. So,
Right.
and again, the email's in the packet.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Do you see any other citizens on that have logged in at this point? No. Okay. We will move along. The minutes of the meeting have been included in the agenda. And has everyone had an opportunity to read those? If so, I will entertain a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, we'll move on to the director's report.
Okay.
Or the assistant director's
Well, the
report.
assistant director on behalf of the director. So basketball league update, we have a total of 100 little kiddos playing basketball. The first and second grade division have 6 teams, and the pre-K micro basketball has 6 teams as well. The practices begin tomorrow at the community center. And we have secured the location of Hillcrest School, which is right at the corner of Warson and Grandview for Thursday and Sunday afternoon games. So there will be a call for volunteers a little bit later in this meeting, so I won't ruin that. Park operations, we've been pretty busy because the weather's warmer. So usually whenever we take time to fix park benches, that hasn't happened. So that's a good thing. So 3 new dog pots were installed. We bought the parks crew some PPE, some personal protective equipment for chipping and cutting and with chainsaws. And so the park staff supported the Weed Warriors last Saturday at Villa. I hear it was
Special thanks to Ed.
I hear it was a pretty good turnout, and from what I've heard, it was a huge success. So, and you guys chipped that today, right?
Yes.
I heard it chipped today.
They were chipped in. And also thank you for the PPE. It was good to have that helmet and that protected.
Yeah.
I felt much safer.
Well overdue.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, the Missouri Parks and Rec Association had a mini conference that 4 of the staff members went to. It was in Shrewsbury on November the 18th. Just some mini conferences ranging from esports to kind of like just better development within yourself and how to not get so stressed was one of the sessions. And then, you know, each staff member went to some different tracks. I went to one on grants and land water conservation act stuff. So The department did renew everybody's membership for the 2022 calendar year. Travis Neal is being added this year. And then the annual state training conference for MPRA is in March in Springfield, Missouri. And we have put in a request that several staff attend that as well. So 4 members of our staff to attend that. So everything else.
And one of the things that I would add to that is there's podcasts and so forth of all of this information. So if members of the commission would like to
Yeah.
review
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
it's held for posterity.
Yeah, and just so you know, you as board members are members of MPRA and have access to almost everything that we have. Well, really, you do have everything.
Yes.
access to everything we have. So
And
if there's
and-
ever something that you have questions about, feel free to give myself or Bev a call and we can answer.
Yeah, I've been out there and it's been quite a interesting, there's a lot of interesting information out there.
The expo hall is always a big hit with park commissioners. That's it. Yeah, Rob.
Okay.
Basketball sounded pretty doggone good. Is it good?
It's as good as it can be. I mean, yeah, we'd like more kids. We'd like, more gyms. But it's, with things happening the way they are, not only with pandemic, but with construction with Ladue schools, it is what it is. So we're gonna move forward and make lemonade.
And at this point, you have what, about 100?
Yeah, there's 100,
Okay.
100 kids.
And what would 2019 have looked like?
2019, we had 226.
Okay.
Actually, 2020, we almost finished the season. We had, if it wasn't for a snow cancellation, we would have finished the season. We had to cancel the last game because of COVID. So
Yeah.
I think there was 220 in there. So down, but
It's amazing that it's been a year.
yeah, yeah. So
What was the grade on those teams?
first and second grade, and then we have micro is K and pre-K.
And we always start the second grade?
No, we had some people registered for third grade. We almost had enough for 2-3 teams for third grade. We couldn't get a third team or a fourth team, I should say, to make that grade a go. We had a handful of fourth graders and a handful of fifth graders, but nothing to make a full team and that. So, we refunded them and offer, and suggested that they look at other places. And some places, some teams were able to find a place to play.
And what are their other options at this point?
If somebody calls now,
Mhm.
we just had somebody call this morning, as a matter of fact. Our league is capped off and done because we've already ordered
Right.
jerseys. And one of the movements that I'm instituting with Corey is everybody gets a shirt and a ball. That way we can eliminate our storage going into the new building.
Good,
So everybody, whatever sport we play, they'll get a ball.
great.
That's what we're pushing for, and that's what we're trying to get to. So at this point, the balls are here. They're being aired up now. The shirts will be in next week. The jerseys will be in next week. So if somebody were to call now, we can't take them, but we've heard the J is still taking teams and players. We've heard Clayton may be, just depending on what grade, what gender they need to help fill. So
Okay.
if anybody's interested, send it to us. We're in contact, we're in contact all the time.
Keisha, did you have a?
No.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Any other questions for this point? Okay. Maxine, council report.
Good evening. I just wanted to report that as you see, as you drive down Olive Boulevard, the development is moving forward. Last night at our meeting, we finalized our agreement with Easy Storage, so they are moving forward now as well. They are hoping to break ground in the spring. We also are in the process of, we had the first reading last night for a vaccination mandate for the employees of Olivet, with exceptions for religious exemption and medical exemptions. And if those people take those exemptions, then they would need to be tested prior to each shift that they work. At
Really?
D shift?
every shift, each shift, not daily. Because they don't usually, when they come on, well,
They
come
work
on,
12-hour shifts.
they work
don't they?
12-hour shifts.
Right, but it would be all employees, so even the employees. would-
No, just the ones that on the exemption.
Okay,
Everyone else has got their cards and has proof to go on their files that they've been vaccinated and boosted.
but what I'm saying is a person with an exemption could be the front desk person here. not a- The person with the exemption could be the person working the front desk here who is not working a 12-hour shift. I mean,
Right.
overnight
If
shift.
it's a firefighter or a police officer, if it's the other person, then it's also, then I believe it's the beginning of of each week.
Okay, thank you.
And that's for that piece. The second vote on that will be at the first meeting in January. And then last night, we also approved the purchase of the playground equipment for all the parks. So we're moving forward with that as well.
Great.
No, it's done. We had done part of it at our workshop and then did the final reading and everything last night.
That's 400,000 plus of
Yeah.
the,
So
of
like
the,
439, I think.
yeah, okay.
Maxine,
Yes,
could you tell us a little bit about what's happening across the street?
across the street, the property.
I've seen the sign, but I haven't been able to stop and look. And I know that the city owns those two parcels, but the picture on it looks a little too large. So I didn't know if there was more
It
information.
is a developer who bought the parcels from the city and or is going to be buying the parcels from the city and has bought the land on each side. Was able to accumulate the homes as well.
But not the Jiffy Lube site though, correct?
No.
Okay.
Up to the Jiffy Lube side,
And
I
they're going to
believe.
be homes like kind of similar to
I
Castlegate?
believe they're either townhomes or condominiums. I believe they're townhomes.
And
Thank you.
what's happening with the Opus site?
Well, I know it's been fenced in because I drove by it, but they're
Oh.
also, doing all the work that you have to do to clean the property and make sure everything's safe before they can start tear downs.
Okay. Sounds like we're making a lot of progress.
Yes, we are. And I don't know if you've driven by Plant Haven. I mean, that's going up quickly and the Oliver is going to start taking, I saw it was advertising that they're going to start taking applications. So thank you. It's been a long day. But it's an exciting time. There's a lot going on.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions of Maxine? So there's a lot of excitement going on with the Parks Master Plan and everything that's happening. So I will ask for a report on what is happening with park design update. I know that you can see on your screen and that there are where we are with things. I will say that I am meeting on a bi-weekly basis with bi-weekly, every other week anyway, with the folks from Navigate and the architectural firm and the landscape architects as well to go through. And I think there is a move to have bids available by January, mid-January, that we will advertise for bids. So I'm trying to represent the commission. If anybody has questions, they can ask me or they can talk to Beverly and so forth. So I will turn it over and see where we are with the updates.
Okay. I'm just gonna hit some highlights here, not go over too much. It's all there in your packet. But some of the highlights is park construction documents are our final preparation and are on target for the bid release in January 2022, as Jim had mentioned. Another exciting thing was the GRG Centennial Greenway Phase 2. The Indian Meadows Park is about 95% at completion. Pfister Communication was hired to assist in implementing the public engagement plan for the new center. And then pavilion rentals at Stacy, this is a big one. The pavilion rentals at Stacy and Villa are suspended from March 2022 until construction is completed. We're hoping end of July on that. Irvside pavilion rentals are suspended from July 1 through construction completed. These dates may be adjusted slightly because we haven't gone out to bid yet for everything, and they could shift a little further into the year. Hopefully not too much further because we have a lot of things planned. So.
Will there be any people want to do summer picnics and so forth? Will there be some options for them?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why we phased it the way that we did. That way we didn't take everything down at the same time, that we could, okay, whenever Stacy goes down, we still have Irvside and Villa. When Stacy comes back up, then Irvside and Villa can, the construction can happen in that facets. We hope that we stick to that plan, but as weather and delays start interfering, I hope that we don't overlap any, but.
Yeah, well, and I think the other thing too is until we get a contractor, we don't really know we don't really know the schedule, because one of the things I've seen with the community center is that if we can have all the ideas, but once they've got hard dollars on the line, they dictate the schedule. I mean, we can modify it to some degree, but it's something that we probably won't know until what, mid-February? Or late January?
Yeah,
Probably, I mean, if
it's a
it's
good
like,
guesstimate,
yeah, okay.
depending on when it closes and when we award, and then sit down and talk to them for the first time.
Okay.
So.
Anything else on park design update? What about the playground purchase? Maxine
I have a
touched
question.
on it. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask a question about materials. I know that is a issue for all construction projects.
Yes.
Right now, we're seeing it with the schools, but what is the timeline, or has there been any conversation about materials and any possible escalation due to the?
Not so much an escalation at this point, but delayed, yes. So it's kind of why they're phasing things the way that they are, especially with the building. Like, we're waiting for, certain metal products to come in. Like
Steel is an issue.
Yeah, steel is a huge issue. So that, to phase those things correctly so that everything is ready. So whenever it does get there, it gets on site, it can go right on. These guys are good at it. They've already started planning. They said what was 26 weeks may not be 26 weeks anymore. Now it might be a little bit closer. Now, they won't say a week, but that they're planning for that and trying to work with that as best they can. So.
Okay, thank you.
And I think just from my participation in the design meetings, we have that the maintenance facility has moved from a prefab facility to a site built facility, which will look very similar, but at the same time, everyone's sort of working to deal with some of these issues.
Jim, I have a couple follow-up questions with Don, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So the log trunks, wood chips, boulder collection,
mhm.
Stacy, so my question is in the Warson area there at the entrance to the park, to the Saints area. So one, it's hard to tell, but it appears that they cut down two established oaks that had ribbon around it that suggested they shouldn't have been cut down. So I want to clarify, because I know there's like the difference in color between, it's very,
It's-
however, when I looked at the tree protection zone and what was around that and what was around what was cut down, there's no one that could tell me that there was a difference in that. So I'm wondering, one, did an accident occur with that? And then two, the other word is that all of that wood has been stacked down there, and to my knowledge, there's no plan on getting those big things transported to Stacy. So I was wondering, is there one, or is that going to be Parks that's responsible for that, or is that going to be the contractor's responsibility?
So let me tackle your first one. No mishaps have happened that we are aware of. I know Bev, DTLS, and Brian all walked the site last Thursday morning, I believe it was, or maybe Wednesday. And they went through and verified what was still to be cut, what was already cut, and things like that. So everything seems to be on course with that. For your second one, we just reached out to the guys that are coming and getting some of those logs for the live edge and things, and they have the equipment to move it. They said that they would help us with the Parks crew in conjunction, get it on the trailers and get it over to Stacy, take it off. And so we can start using that upper prairie area like we talked about as the holding bay for it all. So. Did I answer them all?
Yes, thank you. The only thing I quibble a little bit is the two trees that came down. I'm not going to speak for anybody else other than myself, but this Saturday when I was there pulling out some logs with Brian, he was not aware. He was a little surprised by the two that came down too, and we were trying to make heads or tails of. So I'm not sure.
I'll have to talk with Brian.
Yeah.
To make sure, because he just walked that with all them and those have been down for weeks.
Right. It's just when we looked at the
So,
color of the band and then compared it,
Yeah,
it just was like.
And that band colors.
And then for
this-
commissioners, if you don't know, the trees I'm talking about as we go into off of Warson into that driveway is those line of those really nice big established oaks that are through there. And I know the greenway is coming close to it. And some of them are in the tree protection zone and some are just barely not. But the ones in the zone appear to be wrapped with a tape that's the same color as the ones that are outside that were cut down. So it's just really, I think it was just more my just being really, really hyper focused on making sure that there aren't big mistakes like that. Especially when I sometimes hear about what goes on in terms of like what contractors think should come down and maybe some in that kind of, so just trying to avoid confusion. So I don't mean to take a lot of time on it. I just wanted to, and it sounds like Don saying that there's been walkthroughs and things. So I'm confident, but I'm gonna always be, I'm always watching.
I understand, understood. Okay, Don, the playground purchase process, where are we with that? Because those, as Keisha was saying, those are long lead time items.
They are lead time items, and the good thing is some of it is made in Farmington, Missouri. So that's
Oh, really?
that's a good thing. But some of it is not. I
No,
know
it's made in Holland. Or
Yeah,
Netherlands.
One of Bev was on a meeting today with some US safety standards adjustments that need to be made to the ones that are coming from overseas. So, but yeah, so far they tell us everything is on track, but then again, we haven't gone out to bid for the installer yet. So
Mm.
that all, could be, the hinging point.
Yeah, and I think also in answer to Keisha's question about materials. I was over at the community center today, and there is a table of them all laid out. They're not, you need a guide to go through them to see what's going to be used at what place. But I think the contractor is at the point of providing submittals so that that those items are available. If you would like to go over to the community center, and I think moving forward, there's going to be some more, there'll be more annotation to those items. And so they're moving along. We've had a lot of discussion about the cladding of the supports at the Stacy Pavilion. And I think there's been a lot of going back and forth on that. But if you would like, you can go over to the community center and see a lot of those things.
Okay.
Jim, is it appropriate for this commission to have that available to us at a future meeting, whether we have the meeting at the community center? Or is that something that, or is it really just left on our own to go and look whenever we can, or should that not be a future agenda item? And, we've done field trips before. Is this an important enough thing that we all are at the community center and go through all of that, or is our input not really needed at this point?
Well, I would look to the wisdom of the commission on that. They are available at this point. I saw them I've seen several of them, but I haven't seen them all sort of together. And I think staff is going to be working on getting them more labels on them and so forth. I went through with Bev today just to see what they are, because of some of the discussions we've had in the design meetings. But what is the desire of the commission?
As a commissioner, I would like to see it in the presentation. I think it would be beneficial for all of us to see the same information at the same time.
Okay, well, we can.
I mean,
take-
that's just
If
my
Don, if you could take
request.
that back and we
Is it too
can.
heavy to bring over here? Or it's just cumbersome?
It's a lot.
There-
It's a lot of
there's-
stuff.
There's 2 or 3 tables full of these. And I'm
So should we meet there next month?
I think probably meeting there, I mean, the other issue that we have is we have to make sure that we're open and transparent, and that when all of us get together, that is a public meeting. So we'll need to work through the details of that.
Perfect.
I don't know, Maxine, how was that handled with City Hall? With this building? In terms of materials?
There was times where they brought it in and times where they just put it out, like it was sitting on that table for people to look at, like we did in the fall with some of the stuff pieces for the community center.
So why don't we see, the problem that we have right now is that we're doing hybrid meetings. And in terms of bringing them over, but Don, let's work on that and just kind of see where we can, how we can move it here, and if that's a possibility, or what we're doing, because we don't have the video options at the community center at this point.
Well, can it be done in pieces? I mean, can some of it be a January meeting, some of it, I don't know what our deadlines are. I just think that to again emphasize Keisha's point, I think there's value when the 4, 5, 6, 7 of us can get the same information and then have a chance to talk at the same time. Because, I benefit from hearing what other commissioners have to say. And sometimes I change my opinion. It's helped me see things in a way that I wouldn't see if it was just me there looking at it on my own. I can do that, and I will do that, and if it's the only way. But it seems like it's kind of an important issue to just let hybrid meetings be a reason to keep us from it. So if there's anything I can do to help facilitate that, I mean, I got a truck, I can bring things over as well in the evening. It doesn't have to be always on staff. Maybe Anyway, I'll throw that out there. But I
Okay.
think it's important enough to make it happen.
Okay,
in my
well,
opinion.
your point is well taken. So, and I appreciate that. So we will make something happen. I'm not quite sure what format it will be in and so forth, but if we can we'll move forward. And Don, if you can take that back and we'll see where we and
Another quick question.
Yes, sir.
Interested, we don't have a contractor yet. I'm interested in what, if we're buying core pieces or making core purchases now on a project that does not have a general contractor yet, are we opening ourselves up to purchasing, quote, the wrong things? Or buying things that don't necessarily fit into what the final plans are?
my understanding of the process is that working with the because of the lead times with the playground equipment, and playground equipment, as far as I know, Don, is the only item that is a city purchased outside of the contract. The installation will be within the contract. Correct me if I'm
Within their
You're
statement.
correct.
Misstated.
It's typical to buy you want playground, number 2.
Yeah.
let's say. A city would buy that and then hire a contractor to install it to the specs and to the builds, to the build of what the guidelines are for. that.
Okay, so that comes out in this installation
yeah,
statement of work.
yeah.
then. Got it. Okay.
And the reason why we're doing it in this fashion is to get it here sooner and then have the installer, install it.
And I think the other part of that was that we hired forgotten what the term is. We did a request for proposals or so forth, and we chose all-inclusive playgrounds was it all-inclusive? All-inclusive playgrounds to design these. And then we went back and forth with them on, for instance, Herbside is a more nature-related one. There were a number of different things with the splash pads and all of that. So it's good. It's under the direction of the landscape architect. So the design team is very much involved with it and creating the specifications, creating specifications related specifically to what has been chosen.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, project manager's dashboard, where are we with that? That's kind of the exciting part of it. Has everyone been over to, you can still walk through Warson. The police won't stop you. Stay outside the fences, but there's lots going on over there.
It already looks very different from when we did our groundbreaking.
Big hole in the ground. Yep.
Very different. So, yeah, so a lot, again, some highlights that are on here, that kind of give you a monthly snapshot, and we'll get these every month to update us what has happened in the last month since, of construction. So this will be a monthly thing that we will have from here out. Navigate provides this for us, and it has, right now they're all the highlights. But then when we get to a point where there's some lowlights, then that will also be on here. So the including even the money, down to the money in this area here.
Just a quick question. Does that answer your question in terms of where we are
Yeah,
in terms of letting people?
and it's in your, and this is in your packet too.
So
And
how much of this will be, I'm sorry, how much of this dashboard will be made public to the public? I mean, will it be
It's-
posted on the website or?
Now that it's in this meeting, it will be on the website, and City council also gets this as well, so it's posted in their packets as well.
And so you said it'll be updated monthly?
Yeah, Navigate will give us this on a monthly basis to kind of give us kind of a look back at that month and kind of a overall tally of how we're going and where we're at. So
And are the bid packages presented to the council for payment monthly? Or what is the
The-
frequency?
the bid packets, for the contractors that are already on.
Correct.
Yeah, they're monthly as well. I don't think there's anybody that's outside of monthly.
Okay.
Good.
I don't.
So once they ask us for payment, then that has to go to city council.
Yeah, so the way it actually goes is Wright Construction, let's say it was our GC, submits the invoice to Navigate. Navigate goes back and double checks everything against what they said. Then Navigate passes it to us saying, okay, it's passed us. Then we have to turn it and take it to council, and then council gives the reading to go forward.
So it does come to us initially, or does it go
Yeah.
straight to council?
It goes straight to council.
Okay. And this was the same process that you followed for this.
Right.
for the Civic Center. And will this dashboard be available to us?
They call it a dashboard, but it's not like
It's not
it's
like
not like you
something
can log in
in.
and see
Okay.
it. It's something that Navigate puts together for us on a monthly basis to supply us. So,
Yes, sir.
Just a thought on, could this dashboard be time boxed as to the reporting period it represents, since it is a public document? So like this is November 1st, 2021 through December 1st, 2021.
So up at the top, it'll have the date for when. What,
But-
what,
But
what is it?
I see where you're talking, yeah.
This represents the body of work that is being either soon to be planned to be worked on, or we're showing will be worked on in the
Mhm.
future.
Yeah.
For the month of November. That's what I was trying to get at.
Okay, all right. So you would like it to have,
November 1st, the reporting period for this work.
Yeah.
If, please. Thank you for taking my recommendation. It's,
Yeah, I mean, just our month ending November, month ending November 30th or something like that.
yeah, please.
And I think also with the project, the ultimate authority goes to the council.
I do not disagree.
Yeah.
It's just,
So, but it's good if people have questions and so forth, and where are we with this?
yeah,
Works
so,
well.
To Keisha's point, next month we can look at it and say, all right, this is where we were, this is where we are now, and are we making progress? And that's the point. So, thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that I do is I subscribe on the Olivet Mo website to the council meetings, and you can download the packet at that point and get a lot of information. So I'm sorry, Don. Go.
I'm getting frustrated at the scrollability here.
Right.
I hit it, like, for instance, I just scrolled up. And there it goes. So, yeah, it's usually, so here's some pictures of progress that are on here. Like Maxine said, it looks totally different. And there's some more pictures to come that will just, it won't look like it was, even from these pictures. So one of the interesting things is this line right here, if you notice it, it goes all the way across. This is the gravel fill line from the old Saints, from whenever they tore it down. That's all the concrete that was in that lot and in that spot. So that's all the crushed gravel that was there. And that's like line, but this is the base. That's the natural base of that property right there. So and I know that doesn't give you much of a thing, but that's about 4 or 5 feet deep. I stepped in it just to give it a kind of a reference. So, but it's pretty interesting. So. Then is there anything on the back? I am big pile of debris. That's all gone now. That's all shred. So I wish this would scroll better, but it's not. So any questions on that that hasn't been asked?
It's not necessarily this, but
Mm-hmm.
related. I know previously you mentioned, or it was mentioned that there would be a website going up about the previous Saints roller rink where
Mm-hmm.
people could post and all of that. Do we have a timeline for when that will be coming forth? I've been promoting it.
I can double
Oh,
check.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Part of my-
support, we'll
But it's
support.
an important part of my
Yeah.
childhood and youth.
So Saints roller history.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a Saints roller rink, something on the, I guess it was gonna be on the website. And they mentioned that people could post their memories and pictures but I've never heard anything else about it.
I do remember hearing it from
Is that on social media or is it on the?
No, it's on the Parks and Rec
Parks-
for the.
Parks
for
and
the-
Rec, okay.
Yeah,
Or
I
if the
kn-
city
I
of Olivet,
know-
I don't know which one.
I know Bev and Keisha, or Bev and Kiana were talking, or were in development of that. I don't know where they're at with that, so I can,
Okay.
I made a note to double check that.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the wonderful picture of the city council with the shovels. Where's ours?
Yeah.
I think it's further down.
I thought that too. when I
No,
got
no,
my
it's-
phone.
I saw a
Oh, yeah.
picture of it today.
Oh, he didn't show it? Well, really, I want to know is how do I get a copy?
Trust me, there is a picture of us.
Oh, okay.
It's better to look at
Okay.
It's better to look at your packet.
Well, they're black and white in the packet though. I can't- This is all I have. Sue.
We're in the scrolling section.
Oh, there's another.
There
page here.
there is
Okay.
one up here.
Oh, I found it now. Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh, these are some ones that we didn't see. Okay.
Keith,
we
you
didn't
look like
see
you're
these.
barely wearing a hat.
I know.
I can report though that someone came in yesterday and really marked up the greenway and the trail. So I mean, really fresh with really official looking stakes and a lot more pink paint. So they must be getting ready to do something. So that's exciting too.
Yes. Are there any other questions about the park master plan and implementation, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, we'll move to commissioner reports, and I will have to admit that I have been working through the month to get things. I know last month we talked about trying to create subgroups of the commissioners for related to 1, fees, 2, volunteers, and 3, memorials. And there's just been a lot of things that have happened, not only the holidays, but just in terms of where we are. So one of the things that I need tonight is I need a couple of people to volunteer to help coordinate the fees. And what that is the data collection, calling various community centers and finding out what their current fees are. Yes, sir? Okay. Good. Okay, so Rob is on fees.
Didn't we already have these groups? So are we recreating?
There are some spreadsheets, but I think at this point, yeah, as I talked to Bev, we need to update them and make sure that we're going.
No, I'm
and
not necessarily I'm sorry not to cut you off, not necessarily talking about the actual spreadsheet for these, but we had groups like, I know me and Mary Kay were on the memorials. And we had talked about programs, but we had all kind of chosen. So are we redoing that? That's what I'm asking.
I guess I'm reaffirming.
Okay.
And because at this point, have you been, well, I'll work to that in terms of if we have any items that have come out from that. And volunteers, one of the things that we're needing to work on is there is on the Parks and Rec website, there's a listing of volunteer opportunities, but there's not really a description of them. And so what I think we need to move toward is the job descriptions of those, as well as that we can put out there for folks. And Beverly has created, there's several things that I can share with folks as far as what other cities have done. There's some California one, there's some descriptions about that. So it's not starting from scratch. It's kind of working with where we are. So the volunteer piece, the fees piece, and the memorials piece is what we really need to focus on. And the fees piece really needs to be done by the end of February, because as we begin to work into it, we need to go back to the Ballard King feasibility study, and then we need to establish what the fees are going to be moving forward on this. So I would open it to folks tonight, or if there's other people that need to, if you want to get to me directly, we can do that as well.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Sorry. So how much of this do we as a commission have input on? Or are we as commissioners, I don't want us to put in all this work and then it hits the commission and it's something totally different, which it possibly could be, but how do we make sure that the city council do we need some guidance before we jump into this, or do they need, how do we collaborate to make sure that we're all on the same page? Because we're volunteering our time to do this, and I'm not saying we don't want to do it, but I also don't want us to get down the road and we have this whole spreadsheet of fees, and this is what our suggested fee is, and the city council comes and says, oh, no, it should be something totally different. Or if we're saying in terms of policy, how we, the rental fee policy, and then we come up with a suggestion and it comes something different. It would be more helpful, I think, for us, so that we can have some guidance as we move forward, so that we're moving to a point of meeting it.
There are no.
And I'm not suggesting that the council is in opposition to this.
There is not any good pre-established concepts. We have not discussed it yet.
Okay.
We have not wrapped our brains around it in any way, shape, or form. And I think that last time we did it, I remember that you brought it to us and you made the recommendation that we were within the very similar to the range. I don't remember us going, I think we accepted what the commission brought to us at the time. And that's even what happened with the final pavilion. We showed it to everyone, did not tell them off for that, which one you guys all picked. And then after they had open discussion, I shared that you would all unanimous and pick this one, and that helped drive them in that direction.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
In my discussions with Don and Beverly, the fee thing, all of these were worker bees at this point. And then based on the data that comes back, I think staff will recommend specific fees that we will come back to, where it's a several phase process that at this point we will we just need to get the data.
Okay.
And then we're data gatherers at this point, but we're also, we'll also create policy recommendations to the council on this. So to be very clear, we're calling Maryland Heights, or we're calling Kirkwood or U City or whatever, just to find out what's the market. And then we'll move from there in terms of the recommendations from staff. And we will have a voice in that, from what I understand. And then at that point, it comes from us to the council. But we've also got to work within the realm of, I don't know what the dollar amount was done in terms of what we're looking for fees, or Maxine, in terms of what the original feasibility studies were. But we've got to kind of work within all of that.
Okay.
And as far as the volunteers, that's probably a little longer, but we need to figure out where we are with staff will handle some of this, but if we can get volunteers to help us with the community center, because that's going to be a big, it's going to be a much different model for the community center than we have today. And so we're looking to see, and it's one of those things, if you don't ask, you don't get. And then on the memorial, one of the things is, as we're working into the park, or as we're doing the renovation of the parks, a lot of the memorials that are out there will be removed. And we have to figure out, one, what we're going to do with those, and two, what we're going to do in the future. At this point, really the only memorials that we are moving forward with are benches and trees. So we just need to kind of figure that out and get some policies around it, because we've got rocks with plaques on them. We've got plaques. We've got a lot of different approaches. And so we need to look at that as well.
Do you have any additional due dates? I know you said the fee study by February, and you can put me down for the rental use policies. But are there any additional due dates that we know we have to hit for these?
Well, as we look at it, and Don, if you could go back to the time schedule, if you could. I realize sort of that timeline. Let's see where we are. So if we're looking at, oh my goodness. Yeah, make it bigger, please, please. Okay, yeah, okay. Community center construction. We're talking, okay, where are we? We're clearly going to have to staff, go down to the community center. I'm sorry.
So are we looking at March bubble?
I'm sorry, if you can go down one more step. Easily said. Okay, so the community center is completed by January of 2023. And so clearly part of the feasibility is that we will be selling fitness center things, we'll be renting rooms, we'll be doing things. So I would venture to say, and staff will probably get crazy with me about it, but I would say we need to have something by March or April of next year, so that the staff that is brought on to manage the community center will have some direction. So
So
that,
for all of these,
I think if we could say the work needs to be done by the end of February, let's just be
For
clear
everything.
with that. And if that's too early, tough. So I can participate on all of them where needed. If we can look toward the end of February, and what we'll do is we'll check in January and see where folks are and if people need extra support. The other issue that we have is that these groups can only be groups of 3 based on sunshine laws. And so we can work through that. Yes, I will reach out to Travis. I understand that Mary Kay, there's some things whether or not she may or may not be able to participate. And I will contact folks, but it makes my life a whole lot easier if the people that are here can volunteer. I heard Keisha talk about memorials
memorials and policies, put me on it.
on volunteers.
Yeah, number 3 and number 4.
Okay.
And I would like to do memorial program, but I have a question about that though, Jim, because my understanding is that what we're asking is to come up with a system. Well, it sounds like 2 things. We're coming up with a system so that people who want to memorialize a loved one or so forth, here are your options kind of thing. And then the second part to me seems to be then the implementation, but not only that, but a plan of like, so when, for instance, I have a question right now, there's these benches that are going in. What plan is that following? I mean, why are the pads, I'm not saying it's wrong, but why are the pads being placed where they are? Is that part of some bigger grand design? Because I think part of what I thought we were trying to do with the memorial program is just not have all kinds of stuff all over the place without some sort of logical reason for it being there, or we don't want things being too grouped up perhaps and too crowded, or we want to space things out. It needs to make sense for the park going experience, correct? So is that okay? So one of the things that I might ask then, I wonder is, it's kind of hard to do this and at the same time while there's actually a de facto policy being implemented right now. So things are being memorialized, benches are being placed, pads are being poured right now. So it seems like we haven't had a chance to make these policies or recommendations, and this is going on at the same time. So it makes it kind of undercuts us, I feel, because like if we what if we come up with something and then oh well, that's grandfathered in because it was just done a month ago, and we haven't had a chance to. And so I like the idea of the deadline for that reason.
Yeah.
But so if we're going to have a deadline, we're going to do it, then I suggest, I'm wondering if then we can put a hold on any future one, not the ones that are already happening, that's done, but any future ones between that time frame so that we don't get undercut. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
What I'm trying- okay.
it absolutely makes sense to freeze it, and I think to tell people, I mean, if somebody wants to contribute something, you don't want to discourage that, but at the same time, we can say, okay, we need to pause this until March. And I don't think that's unreasonable, given what we're doing. And so, and the idea is to come up with a policy to say, okay, here are the items that you can give, and here's, if this bench goes in, we'll take care of it for X number of years or something like that. And here's what the recognition will be on it. So that's one piece of it. And I agree completely with you that we need to kind of say what's going on. Don, are you aware of anything that's in the works at this point?
So yeah, the 3 that are being installed next week, 2 of them are replacements for existing memorials. One of them is in with and let me back up. The ones that are replacements, one of them was facing, it was on the pathway and it was facing, the house. Why would you put a bench there facing nowhere, into somebody's backyard instead of facing the trail? So that was all prior donations, our memorials. We've moved those and we're making those a better location, that they're the one's facing the trail. The other one is facing the path on at Stacy. The other one, I don't think I don't know where that third one is going off the top of my head. I'm sure it was some, but the way that we're slowly progressing with it is, everybody wants their memorial to go around the path at Stacy Park, everyone. And if we allowed that, we'd have bleachers instead of just individual benches, because that's the way everybody wants it. Everybody wants it in the most popular park and the most popular place. With that being said, we have told people, no, we can't do, enough there, or we can't do any more there, or in certain locations that they want, everybody wants a bench around the pond down there. You can't, again, you'll have bleachers. So we have told people no. We are locating these things in areas that are needed and add to the aesthetics of the park that they're going into, or the place that they're going into. So it's not like we're just wildly saying, oh, we're going to put a bench here and you get a bench and you get a bench. No, we're not doing that. And these benches are substantially more expensive than the benches that we're taking out.
And we're requesting donations
Yes.
to
They
cover
are-
that. I
they
think,
are
I think
paid
in the
for.
past, there's been an issue with lowballing the price of the benches.
Yeah. no,
And
that's-
so we're working, but that's what this group comes up with. It's the policy to say, 1, what are the prices? 2, where are they? How do we determine those? And that's moving, that's what I see in terms of moving forward with it, is sort of the charter of the group.
So one
Perfect,
of the-
perfect. Because that's, I want to clarify that. And so Don, I know that you're just not putting things willy-nilly. I want to make sure that you understand that I understand that. And there is a process. I guess what, to Jim's point, is that we're looking to write that process down so we all know what it is, because I'm sure lots of thoughts being put into it. I absolutely have no doubt about
And
that.
it's something that
but-
we can share with a
Be on the
potential
website.
donor to say, you want a bench, for your, a family bench. Okay, here's our guidelines. Does it fit where you think that you're wanting it? And somebody say, oh, well, I wanted it there, but it specifically doesn't list that. Well, that's why, because we'll have bleachers in places instead of benches. So.
Well, and I think the other issue that we need to be aware of is the length of time we're going to care for it. So that,
That's the big.
so that it's not in perpetuity, but it is a reasonable length of time for what's going on. I mean, whether it's, that's up to the group to kind of maybe look at what other organizations are doing, and then coming back and saying, here's what we think we should do.
I think too, that's one of the conversations that we had initially when we were talking about this, me and Mary Kate, was we also have to take into account that we're a very economically diverse community. And people who actually use the park may not be able to afford to buy a bench. But we need to make sure that there's tiered ways for people to be able to memorialize, whether it's on the website, an ongoing memorial, or, Keisha bought a tree, and the tree, if it's a sapling or whatever it's called, I don't know, I'm sorry. It might be $25 or $50.
Right.
Or it could be $100. you know, you can give it different levels, but it doesn't necessarily need to be plaques everywhere in our parks, all over the place that people have to maintain, and then we have to keep up with what they are. But if it's, we talked about, you know, really making sure that there's some equity in whatever this is going to be,
Yes.
just for our populace.
Well, and then too, you can go further, the purpose of a memorial, of putting memorials in the park. You know, obviously, you know, building community, and that's part of community, but obviously the park's not making money from this. So it's not like, okay, ooh, we have a bench person, so we're gonna take a, again, it's, you know, in some ways it's adding an amenity that maybe that the part or that city does not have to purchase, which is nice, but we need to make sure, I think, that everything is always, you know, enhancing what we have, or helping us to get future vision items that we don't have. You know, whether we want to start a forest up on the upper prairie, you know, we don't have money right now for trees, but if people are donating them, those kind of things. So it needs, I think, from up to this point, in my opinion, it's worked more like people want to do it, we're going to let them do it, and it's not always to the benefit of the overall park.
So do I hear you adding your name to?
No, I
the-
said it in the beginning before I said all that other stuff.
He did so.
Okay, so,
And I will say to Keisha's point, yes, I mean, you're correct. And coming from a previous city that had the same type of economic challenges, that's why whenever I redid the program at that city, that I made a brick, a tree, and a bench. And those are the three choices.
Yeah.
And, you know, brick being $50, the bench was, you know, $300, and, you know, the tree was $150, you know, different levels within that thing. So yeah, I agree.
okay. And, you know, I kind of went away from it, but do you have any report, Keisha, on the memorials that? Okay, sorry.
Ed was on Memorial as well.
So I have Mary Kay, Keisha, and Ed on Memorial. I have Rob on fees. I also will be part of fees. And we'll get spreadsheets from staff in terms of putting kind of questions we need to ask. Is there anyone, I guess we have, I will drop off of anyone that we don't because of the three level, because apparently if there's more than three of us, it's a public meeting. So is there anyone else that's interested in fees? Some of that's phone calls, some of that's in person kind of thing.
I don't know if there's a policy, but I think there's a price list.
I think,
I'm-
I mean, the whole idea with all of these items is
Like a
we don't want to
flyer.
reinvent the wheel. But at the same time, the other issue with memorials that I see is, what do we do with the ones that are out there at this point? We have some rocks with plaques on them. We have different things. And so we need to figure out what do we grandfather in and how do we do it, and what's some of it, and if it's just a small plaque, do we aggregate them or whatever? So we'll leave that to the group so that we're not managing that. So that would be Mary Kay, Keisha, and Ed. And then at least Rob and I will work with fees. If anyone else wants to, please let me know. The volunteer piece, Keisha is interested in that. I'm also interested in doing something with that. So if anybody else is interested, or if there's two people that are interested, I will drop out.
Or I can't. Are you talking about, and then also the policies,
Pardon me?
the rental use policies?
The rental use policies, I think that's probably
Okay.
down the road. What I have found is that I've been overly ambitious. And that I think if we can focus on these three things right now, that we'll have accomplished something. And then we can begin to work on rental use, because that's going to be a big issue as we move toward the community center. Because we're going to have the kitchen, we're going to have the rooms, we're going to have, what do we do with space between various organizations? I mean, there's the whole issue of how do we deal with neighborhood organizations and some of that kind of stuff. So let's
Okay.
actually kick that one down the road. Other items that were going, so what I would like to have is at least a progress update at the January meeting, which I believe is, what is it? January 19th, of fees, volunteers, and memorials. Memorial policy, so that if you can self-organize between now and then and come back with things, and clearly we can use staff if we have questions. But I would like to be very specific about the expectation is that there will be a report at the January 19th meeting where we are right now and then moving forward. I realize we're in the holidays and all of that, but I would appreciate what's going on. Yes, sir. Can you press your top?
So looking out from there, my question on our assignment is we come back with a draft set of policies, or what we believe to be a final set of policies that could go on under a further revision once to be the approval. We take those documents, take them to the council
Yes.
for approval or review and approval. And then that approval process would take place in February, or would we be able to get on the docket by that
Well,
time?
what I see is that we have some progress between now and January.
Yeah.
We have things coming out of this commission in February. And as I look at it, and Maxine, correct me if I'm wrong, the fees and the memorial needs to go to city council.
Okay.
The volunteer piece is probably something within the parks. It would go to council for information, but not necessarily approval. So the two things that need to go probably to an early March meeting of the city council would be fees and memorials.
Okay. Sounds
If
good.
that worked for folks.
Sounds good.
And at that point, then we've kind of gotten it, and we're not just kicking it down the road.
So for that, at our January 19th meeting, will we have time to really massage what is presented? Use that more as a work session so that we will have time to review and analyze internally amongst the commission, make any modifications, changes, deletions, and then have a presentation to go forward to the council.
Well, I think January is to make sure we're making progress. February, I see that more as a February.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but going into February, we know where our pain
Where we need
points
to
are.
massage it.
Correct,
Yeah, we're
Correct.
massaging what we have done up to that point.
correct.
So maybe I can shed a little bit of light on something like fees, for instance. We don't know what everybody's charging. When that information comes back to us as staff, then we start looking at that, seeing what the averages are. comparing that against what Ballard King put in the pro forma. And then making a recommendation to you as the council to say, okay, here's our gathered information, here's what we have. We come to you to say, this is what we're looking at, and this matches or slightly differs from Ballard King in this, because the budget has to be built. We start building the budget in, at the end of February, it'll open. And then we'll start, massaging what the Ballard King part of the budget was predicted to be versus what reality really is. And then seeing, because that's kind of what the budget is going to be built upon, is that Ballard King report, to say, 100% of it, not so much, because that was done. So, some time ago. So with that, then we come to you and say, here's what we have. Now let's talk about fees. That's where we work together on making the last minute tweaks. Then that's what we submit to council. And if council approves it, bam, then we have to put it in the budget and then moves forward. And that's our set in stone
So my question is, are you on a fiscal year or a calendar year?
fiscal.
So the
July
fiscal
1.
year, we would need to have the fiscal year budget completed by June for the January 2023 opening?
No,
We're not on a fiscal, we're on July.
I mean, July.
We're June.
July
to June.
July to
1,
June.
July 1 is our fiscal.
Right, so but since the estimated opening for the community center is January,
Right.
we would need to have the budget completed for the community center, the new community center, by July.
The fee structure. yes.
Correct,
The
By
fee
June.
structure.
to have an approved budget.
That's
Yeah.
why we're thinking that makes sense.
Yes,
We're bringing city council in March, and sometimes when that, like you said,
Yeah.
work through that, of course.
okay,
Because they'll make their first reading on it in end of, Maxine, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the last one in May and then the second one in June, correct? Yeah. Yeah, I think. So
And-
it's close, it's tight,
it's
but
tight.
yeah.
So,
That's why the timing is good for what Jim proposed.
so if we talk about fees, we would have gathered our data by January, by the January meeting. And then we'll move from there and present, and staff will have that as we collect it. And that's phone calls. In a couple of cases, it may be a visit to say, what are the nuances of this? But it's mainly phone calls. And so what I would see is that for January, we would have data in a spreadsheet, and then recommendations in February. And then council deals with it in March. If that makes sense to folks. I'm not trying to impose it, but it just is how,
It's necessary. We need-
yeah. And so if we've got that, so that this is very exciting to me, because I'm seeing that we're doing our jobs as commissioners and representatives of the community as well.
Seems like the 9 months.
But it's an I won't say unbudgeted, that's not a good word.
It's an episodic,
Um,
I think is,
Yeah, I mean, it's any of the donations that come in or memorials that come in, they're an enhancement to the park. So it's, we're not charging $1,000 for a $500 bench. We're not, there's not that great of a markup on it. There is a little bit because we have man hours that are into it, but not anything close to what it actually really is. So it's not in a budget per se, but it could be a good guideline that, like Jim said, I would start with the fees on the community center, the membership in the rooms. And I hit that hard focus. And then at the same time, still be following trail with memorials, because that's going to have to come through too. Because as soon as we announce that we're opening, everybody's going to say, and they really see the building come out of the ground, they're going to say, that'd be a great place for a bench right there in the middle of that V. And that's exactly what we're trying to, be prepared for.
Yeah,
In the front of that building, you can look at it and say, yep, I can see 2 benches right there. Now, whether we do 2, 1, 0, I don't know.
and if you go to the garden, they've got, they clearly have some policies that I think that we can work on. I mean, you see benches, but then you also see little tags on trees. So.
Those are a pain, by the way.
Yeah. And I must admit, we have
Just
a
want
couple
that
of,
to go on
we have a
record.
couple of bricks in one of their areas. So there any other discussions of where we need to be moving? And I think also staff will be available to, if people are needing direction or some help with things as we're moving forward on this. And you can call people. So, I mean, we know phone numbers, and we know, and we can kind of move from there. Let's see. Is there anything else on future agenda that we need to talk about? If not, let's move on to upcoming dates of importance. Kids Night Out, is that sold out?
Sold out in 48 hours. Full.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an easy one.
Yeah.
And how many do we have participating in the holiday light?
Holiday light, unfortunately, there's only 3 houses this year.
I think it's the weather.
It might, it was 70 something degrees today. People may not be
Yeah, well,
thinking.
I was thinking about it, but I was thinking my display isn't nearly up to a light hop.
And
Come on, you don't have to dance into the music.
Winter break camp, where are we?
we're doing pretty good with that. It's not full yet, but we're slowly trugging along. That's usually a good time for people to take some vacations, with those that are staying in town or, taking advantage of it if needed.
Okay.
So,
So we still have some slots?
yeah, there's still
Okay.
slots.
What's the maximum?
That one, the maximum is 40, I believe.
Okay. Winter baseball, what's going on there?
Winter baseball camp, we had to shut down our part of the registration because we had to let them know, because it's, 2 weeks away, but they can still sign up. So, that one's actually kind of a unique one that we're advertising it along with Balls and Strikes at the Balls and Strikes facility in Baldwin.
Okay. Have we had much interest?
3 people,
Okay, okay.
but it's 3 people that we didn't have to do anything.
Weed Warriors, Ed, what's going on? Weed Warriors, I know you did a job over at Villa.
So this past Saturday, yeah, we worked at Villa. We haven't been in that park as Weed Warriors yet, and it's long past due. We removed a ton of stuff. We didn't have as many volunteers as usual, but we had a very hardy group and they were very dedicated. We have one person who comes from outside of the city on a somewhat regular basis. And so that's impressive. So we get very passionate people that really believe in, in eradication of invasives and, getting native habitats going and clearing it out. So yeah, I think all in all was good. We, as Don mentioned earlier, we chipped today. So we were able to get the chipper in there. Brian was able to do that, and we took care of it all. So it looks nice and clean now. We're looking forward, I think in January, I think we're supposed to be back at Stacy, but that may change based on other kinds of things. We might want to do some more work in Villa to kind of finish up.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're also in terms of these days looking to maybe expand it a little bit beyond just honeysuckle removal. Depending on the park that we're in, there might be some other types of jobs that might be more enticing to different folk. So, but we're still kind of thinking and talking and brainstorming about that.
Okay, well, it's great. I will say that I normally do Weed Warriors. I was out of town. But at the same time, if you have any of your friends that are interested in shopping for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday morning, it's fun. And if you're really nice, you can use a chainsaw too. So, yes, sir. Okay.
Winter break camp says December 20th through 30th on the agenda. I'm looking at the website, says December 27th through 30th. It's 27th through 30. Okay.
Okay. So it's basically that week between 25th.
Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
And our next meeting is January 19th.
I would like to add one thing. If anyone is not doing anything on a Thursday night, 6 to 7 p.m. or on Sunday, 12 to 2 p.m. We're looking for time clock people, just somebody to start the time clock for the games. That's all they have to do. They don't have to sit there. 6 to 7 on Thursday, I believe, is when those games are. And but if you're interested, Sundays are noon to 2.
And what days are you talking?
Thursday.
No, but I mean, what?
Oh,
what
starting
dates?
this January the 10th.
Yeah.
January the 6th.
Okay.
It's the first week.
Yeah, that would be 6th. 'cause
Sixth
the
and the
5th,
ninth.
yeah, okay.
Is the first week. So
And what is
very
it,
easy work.
what is the duration?
It's an hour.
No, but I mean,
Oh,
calendar.
in a perfect world, 8 weeks. So
And that is for the
it's for the
That-
youth basketball. league.
youth basketball.
We just need, we just,
take a high school student or you?
yeah, we would love to pay a high school student. If you can find us a high school student that likes to make money, we
Oh,
would
you pay?
love,
Oh,
we would make it worth their while.
we can volunteer or we can.
I have someone.
Okay.
Okay. And how many volunteers do you need?
You can never have enough volunteers.
Okay, we'll refer that to the volunteer group as well, so. Okay. Does anybody else have any other business that they would like to bring up tonight?
You cannot, it's not on the agenda.
Oh, okay, well, any comments of anyone? I won't bring up any more business. Having none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh.